Alright, Lama Chöpa. Tanyamlin Chelia, Dambong, Zugeta, Neha Chidor Jawa said, and Wundrotella, Dajik, Kambat, Geshe Thubten, then it goes on to get 10 Tampasa, and Chopa Yume Shambasa, then Teola do the Lunamna, shoot in the Yukone, and those Gene, Duje, Tibetan, to Shugores. Now, the teacher that this one I think the Kambachina and the Munda to Stene Danger got Gomjag, Gorlia, Sungora, and Zak to China. And did Jella and the Jabro gave you sat Tavache, and then Delia, and then Jambroche, the nature same gear, then and the chicken Tomba Yukom Rani, and the chicken do 6 years, Guyongo, Larky, the Necula was your church. Then Nuju Jingi Lab says, Nuda Jutamje, and the Jingi Lab Jodo Nuju Jingi Lab. And DJ and Yang, then Najeda choose a Jingi Lab, or those Genet Divado, those cans shoes are Rakisila. Yamroche, Simje, then the Durji, Tombany, Samda, Tombanyo, Durji, Yomoke, then the Kule was your church, and then Gaso Nuju Jingi Laba says, Chegorua, then Nuju Jingi Lab Chela, and Jin Nachu Jingi Laba says, Najuda, and choose a Jingi Laba says.
Good evening. So tonight we're going to continue with our 4th class looking at the Lama Chöpa practice. And before one engages in a meditation session such as this or any other, in one's regular place of meditation, one first engages in the 6 types of preparatory practices, which is to ensure that your place of meditation is clean and to arrange the objects on your shrine, the objects representing the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, arrange one's offerings, and then sit in the 7-fold Vajrayana position. Then one engages in visualizing, usually we said the merit fields to do the offering of the 7 limbs and making supplications. But those can be included here in the main practice, but to be done as part of the preparations is, of course, very good to do. Thereafter, having done the preparatory practices, one engages in the preliminaries of the Lama Chöpa practice itself. So first one visualizes the objects of refuge, goes for refuge, generates bodhicitta, and reflects on emptiness. And from the realization of emptiness, one arises as the deity, as Yamantaka. Then abiding as Yamantaka, one blesses the world and its beings, and then one is ready to engage in the practice itself.
제다디 냠네 제다디 넘경 아주 강바질이야 두배 줍강스로 줍강스네 곰자세 강바 줍강할 되제 두스진의 곰자다디 냠네 제다디 달라미 주변 냠네 제로 원조 냠네 제다디 디로와 디 멤베당 아주 갑갑리야 파수 줘야다 되는 아주 지게 신나기도 로지도 곰자다 안데야지 파수 서천달로 내가 님이 지기 되어라 되네갑리 아주 곰자도 다 내가 지도 자와세도 거예요 말대 곧 되네기 소소랑 매바치 둘이야 아니 점점섬게 가서데 군노게 되네 군노 자주심 육군이라 겹도사 겹유사 답 되네 겹유사 답다 되라야 아주 라마 주변 냠네 좀 냠네 제바이나 아니 라마디 제르모체 디 닝알아야 좀 봐서 좀 되지 기 두갈이야 안에 야와들이 참 고미야들와 되는 게 비싸 답제 되네 언두스네 아주 스타트업 자주sem게 되는 소속이 다 이제 지동반이 삼다 된 돌지중고 개발인 삼비 삼다 되네 그 안에 굴려서 최신 뉴스진이라 비매바지다 언두스는 지가 두스체선다 지고래 인지미지다 아직 강원나 두가지면에 되네 아직 파수도도 한 지게 한 전강나도 사과식 되나 아다될 때지야 말씀베게 가서 내가 지도 자와 구성투기 된장 봐서 요 말씀베게 삼드네 되네 니 말다고 님의 직당 가와르나 가지고 님의 거 사실 가와르는 두스체네 예 고스 미바데스 두스치나 검제시고래 다 내가 지도 자와다 구성투기 된장 봐서야지 the Tupanching and the Mun Tenja Shuche, Delia Gomjatan, Yamnichidan Koshikore.
The preparatory practices that one does at the outset, such as cleaning or ensuring that one's room is clean, arranging one's shrine, etc., these are done just in one's normal or regular place of meditation. It's not something that one has to do wherever one is happening to be meditating. So one's a regular place of meditation is called a place of accomplishment, a place of attainment. And if one is not in one's regular place of attainment, but maybe if one is staying away from home overnight, then one would not necessarily need to engage, one would not actually engage in all those preparatory practices. But if one is away from home, then one would skip those and then start with the practice itself, visualizing one's Lama in the aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa, with Buddha Shakyamuni at his heart and Vajradhara at his heart. So that would be, one could skip those preliminaries or preparatory practices rather, when one is not in one's regular place of meditation, one's place of attainment.
당아저게 초신 사다비알이야 당보 사시디 파삼 당고라 사시디 파 직나서 강벌 마소나 강보자벨이야 사지하고 소고로 와다 직게 강보자베는 될이야 최된 자베나 강보자베나 갈 공부자베나 될이야 당보 사지 장마하고 쇠든 사지하고 고로 안디나신 저게 초신 사답세기 당보 사시디 삼다야래 다 사지디 사간에 삼당고라서는 다 당보 동반이 공부레스 동반이 지상 대동 예르메 세대 대동 세대 대화 세다 동바 세대 대화 세 유전이 세월 유제 당아 저기 셈 참모 대유 셈 이기 셰바 참모 될야 가랑라 대랑라 지게 되네 대랑라 되기 동반이 또 되니다 동반이 뭐 예르메 베게 두신의 삼다데 되네 동반이 임바실라 되네 뭐 동반이 또베 대동기 또베 이시 임바질라 남바디 바지 고양 뭐 사지를 마스나 자양을 하라면 양바스 자양부 예되겐 근데 군사 취진시도 안델이야 메다도 두베다 마메다 디시저 로마라소바 데네기 최베제 나소바 메도다 데네기 안에 지금 메도다 림보치리다 다 지금 아직 아주 다즈 스위밍풀로 데네기 소다 데네기 춘춘다 카르치기 리다 데네기 베닝주 예바 데네기 야침보 예바지 삼당고레세 대도 예메세도 모데 동반이 도베 이제 대도 이시 임바질라 남바디베 야침보 데네 군사 취진라주 데네기 제 최베제 바도메바 예디겐 데네기 티부 유세데 데네기 파 책두가지 파 망한스 베는 Timbal Mason about the Tipasigrua, Dinashi, that the nation must also do in Namgardelia, Sajil Mason, Dineshi about the Samdang or Egere.
So just like the very first of the preparatory practices one does in one's place of meditation, which is to prepare the environment, making sure it's clean and suitable. When one engages in the visualization of the merit field, the first thing one does is create an appropriate environment. The way, though, that one creates an appropriate environment in a meditation such as the Lama Chöpa is quite different from cleaning one's room, in that one does this through meditation, and one first meditates on emptiness. So if we reflect on emptiness, one gives rise to a consciousness of bliss, and this consciousness of bliss is what realizes emptiness. So now I'm just recapping what we looked at last week. So in the 9th verse, and in our English, it's the first and a bit of the second line that we covered. So the first two words of the Tibetan, which you'll recall from when this is chanted, is de tong. And de is the abbreviation for bliss, and then tong is emptiness. So right here at the start of the generation of the merit field, one has bliss, which realizes emptiness. And from that, so the going to present it in the order of the Tibetan, of course, So from that, from great bliss, which the two of bliss and void we have here, or bliss and emptiness, are indivisible. And from this, now this awareness of emptiness arises, or one generates a suitable environment. And looking at the texts, in the vast space of indivisible bliss and void, so it's the vast space of one's own wisdom that is realizing emptiness. Here now, amidst billowing clouds of Samantabhadra offerings. So the offerings arise, and these are likened here to clouds, in that if we can think of their large, thick clouds where there's almost no space between the particles of water, similarly, it's a vast expanse of offerings. And moreover, so sorry, I'm just got the order mixed up. So before even one is reflecting on the billowing clouds of offerings, one generates the general environment, which is like a beautiful natural environment of lakes and parks and flowers. So whatever one's own heart desires, one generates such a beautiful environment. Within that then arise the great clouds of offerings.
Ane shing baksam yi shing se juwa reje, baksam shing sam tango reje. Da baksam shing se ten nganzui, da zambuling de me se, da ko dewa jengi shingam nali ya dene shing chi, yusara baksam shing se de, sen baksam shing se je. Chikbu uyus, da dene ki shing non de li ya loma me do jebu yon se, degi baksam jumbi zer se, tsikdi tango lo shana.
The key point in this generation of the merit field is that one is doing so from one's own wisdom realizing emptiness. So it's not merely a visualization, but from one's realization of emptiness, one creates this environment. So now let's turn to the text. So I'll read what we covered last week, and then the second line in the Tibetan. So that for us in the English, we the first, second, and third lines. In the vast space of indivisible bliss and void, amidst billowing clouds of Samantabhadra offerings, at the crest of a wish-granting tree, embellished with leaves, flowers, and fruits. So that's that far in the Tibetan. So the wish-granting tree, this can be likened to what exists in the Pure Land of Tushita, or the Tushita heaven. So there is this wish-granting tree, and one visualizes something similar here.
Loma pe yabu ninchi wong loma yabu yudi. Dangan zu xingdong kabrele loma chita saji, loma meeting at the chiro, din samla taji, loma pe yabu yudi. And xingdong de ya medo shu yabu ninchi wu yudi. And the jebu padu meba, chasan jebu shu yudi. Dus jene loma yabu yoba, medo yabu yoba, and delia jebu yoba. Xingdong de jebu da yoba. Chasan yongsu je sidu, chasan Loma da medo da jehu ge pa gang chen hingwa chaza gang chen ba ning ji wu shu chi yo ba sam dang wo le je cho ga wan de dai ne yong su je ba le de cho chi ne da ning ji wu yo cho ji le de ning ji me ba de ne me ba je ko cho ga wa de ne yong chaza ning ji wu shu yo ba sam dang wo je loma medo jehu yong zi jehu yong ze ji loma da jehu da medo ning ji wu yo ba za de ne xing no de cho ga wan da be ne ning ji wu shu yo ba ji sam dang wo je loma medo jebu yongze se tibardina.
There's what do you have here? The wish-granting tree is adorned not in a way that our ordinary trees are. For example, the leaves are all magnificent. There are no wilting or fading leaves at all. The flowers are beautiful and the fruit bountiful. And here, throughout this visualization, one's only limit is one's imagination. So one is encouraged here to be quite grandiose in one's visualization. And the word we have translated as embellished. So this is more literally that it expresses the vastness of the visualization and its tremendous beauty. And then there's a third term as well, again, that hasn't come to it yet, but we have these three terms condensed into embellished. So understand then, embellished has these three characteristics maybe, of a vastness, great beauty, and then there's the third term, which we'll probably come to now.
And then, that in it, Degu, let's say, and Degu Lamna, that Nanzulia, Quegi, Nanzu Quea, Care, you in a Chasan di Shindon Teletene, and Jungo, Hanzuku, Chike, and Daniel Bokoyata, and the Chimiglia, Zebokoyata, Lulu Quea, Quebata, Chiki Pejeta, Care, Sosu Quea, Cargubi in a Shindotene, and then Jungo, Yores, or the Ragores, Dugus, the Dubanganzule, Quegi, Dubacare, Cariguin, Chasan, Shindo del Yores, or
the third Tibetan term that's encompassed in embellishment, or embellished, in addition to a vastness and beauty, is everything desirable. So everything that one may require can be imagined or visualized on this wish-granting tree.
Basam Jumba, Basam Jumbas, and the Basam Yishing, or Basam Yishing, Jumba Lanishing, or Basam Jumbas, Basam Jumbas, meaning the Shingwa. She's a Basam Jumbas, a Basam Yishing said, Del Carrios on Roma Ninju Yoba, Medo Ninju Yoba, Table Bato, Meba Yediba. The Dima saying to a carry, go around to the Quaki, Tunjan Caragovena, Delet in a lench show. That he cared on his Su Lena, that Lena Beches, Dia. Nimba member, Sava Sava, she will use again, Denish your age, just an denigation de la Ming de la Basam Machine says, Basam Jumba says, some more.
The last term in the Tibetan is actually the name of the tree, so this wish-granting tree. So in brief, thus far, what we've looked at in this line is this wish-granting tree is embellished with everything desirable, bountiful, and beautiful. And these are presented through the leaves, flowers, and fruits.
That Enegi, Shindong, Corona, Shindong, Lomata, Keshu, Telepe, and the Mawachi, and Gabas, and Shuson, do it in an answer dinner that name Mawachua Denisha. That dinner, that didn't say the last word, that Manzuki, Toshin, Zedi, Junsing, Zedelia, Carriers, and that the Junsing, the Basam Shin, did Zedelia, and Jumpit. The Zero said, Donga Barwi, Renshin Tidian, Chugin Ida gave it the answer.
I think everyone has this picture on the front of the book, right? So you have what's being described. So you can see here in the picture, what's being described is, first we had the environment around, and now the tree, the wish-granting tree starts here, there's the trunk, and like this has now been described. And now we come to the peak of the tree. So, or the crest of the tree, I think is the term. The crest of the tree. So again, I read the rest of the Tibetan, the rest of the verse, the way we have. So for us, we have it in the middle of the second line. At the crest of a wish-granting tree, embellished with leaves, flowers, and fruits, is a vast, I don't think we have it in English, is a vast lion throne ablaze with precious gems on which is a lotus, sun, and moon.
And now, the Jeremy, that Lama, that Sojeti, Shusaki, and Shuchiti Sungorwa, just another Shuchita Kahoyores, Deji Basamishingi, Zedeliares, Zedeliores, Zedeliores. That in it, Zanda, Shurikanis Yore Lamna, Donga Barwis, Donga Sidu, Donga Lamna, Sengela war, Senge, Sengi Gigi Pa, Chidiba, Jasha, or Resire, Mania, Jocelyn must use your disciple, Sengi Yapa, Sengi Gigi Pa, Jasha, or Rese. Donga said Sengela war.
What one finds at the crest of the wish-granting tree is the throne upon which Lama Tsongkhapa resides or is seated. And we see this then expressed here. Is a vast lion throne. So this throne is right at the very crest of, or the peak of the tree.
그래서 생계세디 심징이 나네 그런 왕지 치쇼르지다 심징 현다지게 찾아 안에 지기 있는 거로와 생계게 지기 있는 거로와 생계세대 배 심징 현다지게 생기 통도 해주고로와 제가 생기게 지기 있는 거로와 생계 그런 심징 현달로 수질 현나요 막 그런다 보고 왕치 쇼르와 제가 생계세 심징다 리다네 제가 디인자 디기 가르친 거에서 천되어 생계세디 뭐 심지어 생기대 말이데 이나 천된지 생기게 하고 니기 상기를 미직 봐야지 강라야 지금 매봐 균 면모부 균 탐제다 빵차완자 균 지금 매봐도 된 거래지래 균 차와 빵차완자 면모바다 면모비 리프사본의 바차대 제가 빵차완자 되니 지고요 말이야 지금 매봐 제가 균 탐제다 빵비기 된 지금 매봐
One wonders why lions on the lion throne, why is the throne got lions on it? So generally if we think of a lion, we think of a king of the jungle. Other animals are fearful, ourselves too, of seeing lions. So that is not the symbolism of the lions here. And moreover, the lions should be understood not as actual beings, but as being symbols. And what is it then that they symbolize? It's certainly not fear, but it's power. And in fact, a state of fearlessness. So the power that comes through having achieved the state of fearlessness. And what is the state of fearlessness? This is what Buddhas attain through the complete eradication of their afflictions together with their seeds and the stains. So that is what the images of the lions represent, the state of fearlessness or the powerful state of fearlessness that is achieved through the complete eradication of the afflictions together with their seeds and stains.
Rinpoche Tibetan Barwala the waiting yoga ways there to the way you can Rinpoche tea and Dinichi and some tango.
The lions are holding up a throne, and the throne then is described. It's a vast lion throne ablaze with precious gems.
Rinpoche said, Rinpoche said, Anzuki Delatine, Anzu, Guedia Karayo, and Rinpoche Delatin to Gorova, Cesar Digi, Anzuki, Lamagi, Laman Latine, and Lamigi, Anzuki, Dunga by Digi Tubia, Chazan Delatin Jung to Gova, the Ditsungorova. Lama Latine, Anzuki, Dunga, Seada, Digi Tubia, Dingi, Deva Tobia, Chazan, Anzu Goedica, Deva Deva. Chazan Anzuki, Rinpoche Latine, Anzu Goegi, Digi, the Tuptugora, Dinashi, that Lama Latine, Anzuki, Antique, Goegi, Digi, said Dingi, Dewadi, Top to Guba, and the Delatin, Jungu Baza, the Rinpoche tea, Rinpoche tea.
The term here we have precious gems. The Tibetan is literally just the word for precious, Rinpoche, or Rinchen rather, Rinchen. So the translation is fine, it can be translated as precious gems. But what does precious gems mean here? So it doesn't, we can take them as being, if one visualizes gems, that they are symbolic, just like the lions are. And what is it that they symbolize? They symbolize all the forms of happiness that the student, ourselves, will attain through relying on one's Lama. So the preciousness, the precious gems on the throne symbolize all the forms of happiness that the student will attain through relying on the Lama.
나 되니게 생기 첨부 예의 파야 야제 샤드베 치심부지 대한 충충면 빼고 양부 게 첨부 삼당 그래서.
Moreover, the throne is vast in size.
다디가라 다 슈트디 치디가라야 다디가서 취기 니의 예배 땡설와 취기라는 메도 빼마시 삼당 그래서 메도 빼마시 되네 메도 빼마치지 되네 메도 빼마디 가라야 니메기고 고 마부 고고 마부 고고 니메기고 삼다 다디 니메기고 디가라 왜 까보 다위기고 아주게 다위기고 디 삼당 그래서 다 슈트디 가라 당보 메도 빼마디 가라 니메기고 되지 디가라야 한 다위기고지 언도시네 삼당 님이 기워 마버로 아니면 마버 님을 까버려 사야 되거든. 너무 제발 님을 까버셔야 돼.
As we have in the text, we see there's a vast lion throne ablaze with precious gems, on which is a lotus, a sun, and a moon disk. So the sun disk, this is red in color, and the moon disk is white in color.
Poro says poro, crow, simjim. Jai poro says you're a crow, silumine, Naburuadi. Jazan poro, Nabu Jim, the poro Chasan, poro, Gabo do like Gawadus and Chigi do like Chigi, Merk by the Tons and Merk by Tons, the Gabo do dinner.
So again, I was just joking because the sun disk couldn't be white. The sun disk has to be red. But he's saying also that a crow, one would generally think of a crow as black, but not all crows are black. For example, in Australia, you have white crows or magpies.
메도 베마 디게 가르친 거라서네 메도 베마 디 예중 순거래라 예중 맞아 만약 코베 동안에 탈바 예중세 순거래스 데네 니마 디게 가르친 거서네 동방이도 베셔를 순거래스 다와 디게 가르친 거데네 장슈샘 순거래스 지사 디게 숨데 예중 장스 미하다베 다와 숨디 순거래제.
Thus far in the visualization, we've seen or heard the symbolism of the lion and the symbolism of the precious gems. The lotus, sun, and moon also has symbolism. The lotus symbolizes definite emergence. The sun disk symbolizes the wisdom realizing emptiness. And the moon disk symbolizes bodhicitta.
기여도 추날파 추된데 담요다 된데 나라 기여도 계세데 미니데 추라데네 자르조 쪽바로 주변에 매도 빼면 그런 야 기여도 그 장르리 중고래서 그래서 그 담내 기야 담니 마고 바래서 디나신 아주 코리아 동안 옆에 괜다 강하다 동안 먹고 열때 코리아 동안에 지 타고 좀 예중 기여도 될래 탈비 타봐서 괜 타스나 자와 삼던 거로 지상 예중 중거래지 근데 니마세야 디기 당 니마세르 베 차와 첨부 쇼로와다 차와로 주에 쇼요로 가리나 칭시하지 매바 수고로와 제가 동방이 또베 시라디기 묘몽베게 되차 콘로가라서 바 마릭파 묘몽베 릭차상 동방이 또베 시라디기 콤발레데네 그 매바 수고가 인자 아니 그 니미시기 외세디 동방이 천 동방이 또베 시라죠 다와 다웨디기 아니 지게 공다스 다이베셔도 백가팅데 실링 류리양 저기 지게 실링 기우라 쉬고자 쉬고로 와데 디네자 다웨디게 자주셈 샬리아 잠바다 제와 니질레드니 신이 동화세야다 디네자 자주셈 친구래지 지나디 된다라 라미기 투규를 디쳐자 라미기 구송 투수 연된디게 파 된다라데 그 넘버 미라도 수수지 넘버 카가 되더니 마도 된다라 내미 구송도 연된디게 봐 순거래 다베지와 천하고래야 니메 공을 차와요 봐지 된마 서비스 다와샤 만지 실려드네 세팅을 기부 순거로 봐대가서 그래서디 다베지와 세야데 되네기 근데 장주 셈 세야데 장주 셈 세야데 셈자 다 제 동안에 저나 심지 탐지 디기 대 덴버 삼다 디던달 삼당 그거자 디기 안 자주 심춘 거래지.
It's good to be aware of the symbolism of these three in particular, of the lotus, the sun disk, and the moon disk. The lotus then symbolizes definite emergence. And why is it a lotus that symbolizes definite emergence? Because the lotus flower, so the different Tibetan words for it, this particular word is literally water-born. So the lotus, or water-born, is thus called because it arises, or the water, or water arisen, water-born. It arises in water, is born in water, but it blossoms above the water. And the water may be muddy, but the flower of the lotus is free from any blemish or stain at all, and is of unblemished beauty. And the symbolism here is that the muddied water is that of samsara. The mind of definite emergence is the mind that is definite about emerging from the muddy waters of samsara into the attainment of liberation. Striving, so the mind of definite emergence is the determination to emerge from the suffering realms of samsara and attain the state that is liberated from suffering, the state of nirvana. So this mind that is determined to arise from the suffering of samsara is symbolized here by the lotus, which has arisen from the muddied water and is blossoming beautiful and unblemished. Then in the visualization above the lotus is the red sun disk. And the sun disk symbolizes the wisdom realizing emptiness. And this is because the wisdom realizing emptiness is likened to the sun because it blazes and destroys through the heat of wisdom, the flame of wisdom, all the afflictions together with their seeds. So hence, the red sun disk symbolizes the wisdom realizing emptiness. And on top of that then is seated a white moon disk. And the moon disk symbolizes bodhicitta. And the reason why the moon disk symbolizes bodhicitta is because just like on a night that would otherwise be dark, when one is walking outside, the light of the moon brings joy to oneself, enables one to progress and continue on one's journey. So here the cooling light rays of bodhicitta, bodhicitta is likened to the cooling light rays of the moon that brightens the night sky. So when we have called to mind, or we visualize the lotus, the sun disk, and the moon disk, we know that now, we now know they symbolize definite emergence, the wisdom realizing emptiness, and bodhicitta. And these are all three qualities of our lamas, body, speech, and mind. So we don't just visualize the lotus, sun, and moon, and we don't just bear in mind their symbolism, but we also understand that these are indivisible qualities of our lamas, body, speech, and mind.
Digala meto pema che, digala nima che, digala dawa che. That di yebe. Digala da su shuyor lama de shuyor reshe da lama shusale da dene yebe dengs digala as denege digala ne gajin sumden zewe lama san yu kun yu ngo ni se na digala gajin sumden ye ne zewe lama de shuyor reshe. Shuyo bagida soso mabachi gorejere. Satap, wada, Tigan Shu Lamas, the Tigan Shuval, Satap Goreje. Give us in bed. Medo de Bema de Niman Dawa Chasna Yebaro.
So the last words in Tibetan is first the word for vast, so it should really come here. Vast refers to the lotus, the sun, the red sun disk and the white moon disk. So these are visualized as vast. And then the last word in the Tibetan is would be what we have in the next verse, in the 10th verse, where we have, it starts with there sits. So the last word in the Tibetan in verse 9 is, maybe you could say, thereupon. So this then would be, for us, the link to the next verse. And again, I just now expanded on my question about the term vast, because we don't have it in the English. So when a lotus, like any flower, when it blossoms, it opens. And then from being quite a small bud, it becomes vast in comparison to the bud. So likewise, one visualizes the vastness of the minds of definite emergence and wisdom realizing emptiness and bodhicitta as symbolized by the lotus, sun disk, and moon disk.
Na kajin sumden sidi dan kajin sumden sidi nga juge na kajin sum sidi sumde karela na tisoro lama tisane wang shuba ane lama tisane ne chi shuba ane menga wang lung menga chi sumga shu lama tisan shuba na lama di nga zole kajin sumda denpa res kajin wang nawe kajin yu kajin na denpa lung nawe ke ane chi lung nawe kajin denpa menga nawe kajin denpa denege lung yu sheba na de lung ma kan ma sheba de jigwaro wa de.
Now moving to verse 10. Again, let's go and go through it word by word in the order of the Tibetan. So there sits relates more to the previous line, so we can have that as the link. And the first words in the Tibetan are kind in all three ways. What are then the three ways referred to? So the first is that the kindness of granting initiations or bestowing initiations. The second is that of teaching or propounding. And the third is that of spiritual instructions or pith instructions. So those are the three kindnesses. Again, those of bestowing initiation, of giving teachings, and that of spiritual instructions or pith instructions.
Jazada Zawi Lama Lavidu and Zawi Lama Lavna Delia, Zawa Lavidu, Zawa Titan Mangbo, Shungu, Benanzu, Zawa and Dangbo, the Zawa Jedinma, Shanda de Yipini, Shing the Zawa Chediga, Sachi Yorwa, the Lama and the Lama Mangbo and the Lama Dangbo, the Zawa Jedin, Niva Sumba Dango Siachina. The Yunding, Sosugi, Chiki Sosugi, Yunde, getting social around, getting Chawa, Zache, Chawa Sene. Getting Yunde Manga Shu said the Yajik Zawa, these and the Manga Shu said. That Zawa said the Sosora Namgune, Zo, the Mikbachin, Zo, Comset Sior, that the Dandala, Manjugi, that in a getting Sumden, Kajeda, Gedu Sumda Yungura, Kajaji, Wanchibu Mashuba, Matumashuba, the Yungurua, the Nelamale, Naso Yungsirwa. In a Dangazuki, Takajele, Soso, Lama Kaze, Soso Lama Chima, the Mena Lama Chira, Tagarwa. Lama ni sumda de ne yoba ina kaje lama sosugi namgyun mikpache no kombe kabla mikpache lama chik mikpache du kabla lama shanda dige chana lama di ngores ngo chikbares lama di ngo yin sam tang ko hora.
There sits my root Lama, kind in all three ways. We've looked then at the three kindnesses of the Lama. Now let's look at the term root guru or root Lama. So the term root has many, we can understand in different ways. So the root Lama could be considered to be one's very first teacher, in that just like from the root of the plant, the whole plant grows. So just like from one's first teacher, one grew and developed and was able to then later come into contact with other teachers. So just like, again, to repeat that, just like from the root, a plant will grow. Likewise, from one's initial teacher, one's first teacher, one will spiritually develop and be able to later encounter and meet and come under the care of other teachers. So this is one way that one can understand the term root Lama. A second would be the one that the Lama that one considers has been most kind to one or been of greatest benefit to oneself. So that would be the second way that one could understand the term root Lama, the Lama whom one considers to be of utmost kindness to oneself or of greatest benefit to oneself. And the third would be, again, whether it's a Lama that one receives teachings or initiations from, one to whom one's mind turns most readily. So then these would be differing ways that one can relate to the term or understand the term root Lama. And if one has one teacher, then very simple, this is whom one visualizes, and there would be one's root Lama. If one has more than one teacher, then one visualizes or imagines one of them, but considers that in essence, all the teachers are one. So one may be visualizing or imagining before one's one teacher and relating to them as the root Lama for one of these reasons presented, but one considers this teacher and all the others to be of the same essence.
Lama Chöpa nyamne jidu kabla jinda ko kajun sumden sidwe Lama Chöpa nyamne tishuela dambo wangshugore dene Lama Chöpa ma tinangruwa dene tinane dene tida den menga chasan leungore dene za da Lama Chöpa sosuge tiloshu sebege jinzan de yuebaina dene Lama Chöpa nyamne jidu Lama de kajun sumden Lama charugore na donda la zo ganje lenga to Lama karkomne sosuge Lama zo komye Lama di kom chigle mine ko Lama chasa ne je mi be chigle tene komya rag marwa chasa Lama chi mine Lama de karkomne ne soso Lama de komyo de kabla dambo Lama de kombana da Lama mangbo yobaina Lama dambo sa tap soso namyin komya ke Lama de zo komya de Lama sa de Lama gi tuga ni pa we se chöyo de kabla we se na la ya we se ne mo de soso gi Lama ka che yana chasa we se de ga Lama gi Lama digi yuesan bigi mebara che, ten Lama digi be sosolya, be xie si che ne, tu nye wu xie si diyo ba che samda, ten ma wese tu duyo de, chasan Lama di sosol kong mi se Lama ki tuga liya tim son se bi meba che diyo, ten Lama chasan Lama chigi rangshin chatar. Kanche de Lama mangpo yue na, kara yue na me na, Lama chigi namchu dhama re, namchu tuenpa re so, chasan Lama chigi ma do yo ma re, Lama ki namchu tuen che, Lama namba mi dawa ma ra ten, tuyentiga sosuga Lama mangpo chaware. Chasa dine tuyo ta zoyo komse mi pachi sa Lama dili tim suwa sampe samtayo diyo, chi Lama ki ngo chasan Lama ngo jikpa gomyo. Chasa Lama chile mi niyo gomyo diyo, Lama chasan gomgore, dine samtayo sosuga Lama kachiyo Lama chasan la gomgore tadi. Lama tuga ni paa wese chuguro wa, korongi tune, nga zo mi bachi na komsi Lama chuyo de, wese na de le, ze de le, da sosuga Lama kachiyo Lama chasan yue de wache. Den du chen Lama ti ngo so, dine ke sosuga Lama ku namba kanisiyo na, Lama sosuga rana namba dina chi yue wache. Dine sosuga Lama di sosuga li pe nyebu che, sosuga kawu shu che, ma si suwa sanpe, sosuga li de Lama di ki li deba ze chu samda. Dine ma che dune Lama di wese su du che, dan Lama zewi ki wese Lama ningal ma tim suwa sanpe samda. Chesan Lama chasan Lama chi ki ngowol dana kumgol di zin. Tim garo ane dino.
The traditional way that the traditional prerequisite to doing this practice, maybe traditional isn't the right word, the original maybe. The original way, the original prerequisite to engaging in the Lama Chöpa practice would be that from a teacher, one would receive an initiation, and then from that teacher would receive a commentary to the Lama Chöpa, as well as spiritual instructions or pithy instructions in terms of how you yourself should engage in this practice. So that particular Lama then, there, who one had received an initiation from, the teaching on this text, as well as spiritual instructions, was fulfilling all three of those kindnesses. And then one would have it be very clear that in this practice, they are one's root Lama. But that is the original way the practice would have been given to a student. But now for ourselves, the way to understand how to visualize or to relate to one's root Lama is whomever one generally considers one's root Lama, and visualize them or imagine them before oneself. And I mentioned in the previous segment that could be, for example, your first Lama, or the one who you consider has been of greatest benefit to you, or to whom one's mind turns most readily. So whomever one is considering to be one's root Lama, visualize them or imagine them before one. Then, from their heart, imagine light rays radiating out, and all one's other teachers being connected to those light rays, or being at the end of those light rays, so that one's other teachers are connected to one's to the heart of one's root Lama by means of these light rays. Thereafter, imagine all one's root teachers then being delighted or joyful in one's practice, and with the delight in their hearts, they. Let me rephrase this. It's not coming out so well. So from one's heart from the heart of one's root Lama, light rays radiate out, and on the end of those light rays, one imagines all one's own Lamas, one's other Lamas, and they are showing expressions of great delight and joy in one's practice. And moreover, one sees them as emanations or differing aspects or emanations of one's root Lama. Thereafter, they all, one's other Lamas, who one is seeing as joyful and delighted in one's practice, those emanations of one's root Lama dissolve into his heart. So this is then a skillful way that one can visualize one Lama, but seeing him as indistinguishable in essence or indivisible in essence from all one's teachers, seeing them as emanations one from the other.
chapche mita konche chapgandi mani nga zo tembo tedegal deji dangbo de ngombo roje niba sebo roje de mabo roje denegi namba mita 통고 때 deji sebo chapgandi misure mabo chapgandi misure dene 지게 디수 수레스를 제바네 마심제도 미치라마도요 말와 진짜 미치디기 제일 마소나 넘버 드라마라 된지 마 잡고 와 있는 심유제나 미치기 잡되겠죠. 어디나시 말아서 고메게 제일라마 뭐지 임바지라 당하서 라마 드라마를 예체상 라마 디기 뭐 넘버 2신에 마 말아서기 라마 인생비 지도 섬녀도 지도 라마 찾아 뭐 지발에 섬다 도스네 섬단 거래 지상 당한테 제 라마 먹고는데 라마 직금 라마 현다지 마음 어디분 마셈 마대와르지 요식이로 와 지상 되네 말자 되네 인상 라마 찾아 라마 지금 고묘도 디 용어래 섬제 고묘 제가는 라마 찾아 공부 책을 봐.
To relate to this, you can perhaps think of a play in a theatre that you have seen, where a single actor may play different characters. And for each character to symbolize the different character, they may change their clothes or put on a hat or make some change to their appearance so as to show they are playing a different actor. But you know it's the same actor, but playing different characters. So one can relate in a similar way to one's root teacher and all other teachers in the same way, as seeing them as being one person who shows different characters at different times in different circumstances, all to be of benefit. So where a certain character would be more beneficial, they would show such a character. So in this way, one can relate to one teacher as being indivisible from all of them, seeing them really as one person playing different characters. And this is important to do, otherwise one may feel a sense of, feel as if one is ignoring one, elevating one teacher, ignoring other teachers, and that would be not only mistaken, but a distraction to what one is actually doing. So therefore, relate to all of one's teachers as being a single being who shows different characteristics in different forms to be of benefit in different circumstances or at different times.
Denegi dangan zugo komyegi shushi kanal dine ketun sumden tseyu lama sangye kunju ngo yi sede. Chesa dine komyegi tseyu lama di sangye cha sangye ngo jikpa re so. Chesa sangye kunju ngo res. Chesa sangye tamje ngo jik du shebe chi res ngo yi se. Ndu chine kumgo re chire.
And this understanding then is expanded upon in the verse. There sits my root guru, kind in all three ways, in essence all Buddhas. So we saw at the end of the previous verse, all the qualities of the Lama's body, speech, and mind. And then now we saw that all one's Lamas are indistinguishable indistinguishable in terms of their essence. Seeing one teacher and seeing all one's teachers as being emanations. And now we also see that in essence they are indivisible, indistinguishable from all the Buddhas.
Then number murmik zimbi gelong sheji chanyu zunga chos. Number murmik zimbi gelong sheji chanyu zunga cho. The Diba the Lotion, Chaye Chichi, Yamba Nyamsha, Tuzigan, Hunze Nam, Gurgum Dan, Chugyo Sumza, Sodo Pancha Ula Se, on Dubar Lotion.
Again, read the rest of the verse then. In aspect, a saffron-robed monk with one face, two arms, and a radiant white smile. Your right hand is in the gesture of expounding the Dharma. Your left, in meditative pose, holds a begging bowl full of nectar. You wear 3 lustrous saffron robes, and your head is graced by a golden pandit's hat.
The number of Murmik Zimbi Kelong Sido, that Rangile, the Nela Komiagi, Lamati, number of conditions, and number Murmik Zimbas in the Rapjung number, or Rapjung numbers, and a Kelong imbachi. Number of Murmik Zimba, like the Rapjung to Lord, Churches, Murmik Zimbas, Rapjung imbachi. The name the young Gelongi, those Chinacomborser, number of Murmik Zimbi Kelongs.
The second line in the Tibetan, it starts in the following way. In aspect, a saffron-robed monk. And I think in some translations you'll find elsewhere it says a fully ordained monk. Continues with one face, 2 arms, and a radiant white smile. Here we visualizing our teachers in the aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa, and showing the aspect of a monk with one face, 2 arms, smiling and pleased.
原本来cha原本的냠샤 심도 쉬쉬되어 봐. 냠샤 예시. 아니原本냠샤 니가야 홍세들 뒤지 따다 간돼 봐. 안도신 홍세 뒤지 강화 예돼 봐. 저 도신의 삼당 거래지.
The third line in the Tibetan is also our third line. Your right hand is in the gesture of expounding the Dharma. So the gesture of expounding the Dharma can be showed it, or it's the same as the Lama Atisha statue at the end with his right hand. So at the heart, showing in the shape of a Dharma wheel. So that's Lama Tsongkhapa, our root guru, in aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa. His right hand is in the wheel expounding the Dharma, the wheel turning mudra. The same as the Lama Atisha statue with his right hand. The left hand of Lama Tsongkhapa, is, as with Buddha Shakyamuni, is in his lap, in the meditative posture, what we have here, a meditative pose, and holding a baking bowl. So again, as the Buddha, filled with nectar.
Now, Gurgum dene lunze nambache. No Gurgum daden chugyu sumso serdo pansha ula ses. Jide da Gurgum daden sidu da Gurgum se de medo se ora chungore. Jisadi dulo din chegi dulo dilya color dodi and Gurgum daden serbo. Nazo de Gurgum denigi yobache andelya chugyu sumso sidu da 최고의 남자다 탕구에서 숨 어디네 도시 최대 봐 디스차상 원도시네 여바데 뭐바체 거래지 최고 숨조대 현답에 최고 탕구라고 안에 시기래 최고 타고 랑고에서 미당게 니도 최고의 당 남미디고의 최고의 남자의 현답 숨디셔 거래.
And the verse concludes, you wear 3 lustrous saffron robes and your head is graced by a golden panda's hat. The 3 lustrous saffron robes. So it says here, so the Tibetan has 3, it specifically says 3 robes. So we'd say, yeah, there we go, 3 lustrous saffron robes. So this refers to the 3 robes of the ordained, which is the namcha, which is similar to this yellow robe, and this then, secondly, this yellow robe, the chogu, and then the third is the shamthap, the lower robe.
Sol se ne kombache. Dene serdo penje ula se ne chu shamu dele ane pen seboche ane dele pensha so din dusne. It
concludes, the verse concludes, your head is graced by a golden panda's hat. So similar to what's being worn on the by Lama Atisha on the statue in the corner.
Keba chukure. Just ribini and ala keba in a bendida to go, bendida, ribini and ala keba machana, bendida to go, keba casina, neangala keba chamena, bendida regoma. Just a dinisa, the shamodia, and chasanga conchugo, ribini and ala kebi, keba bendida, ingenic mado, Yamadi ko bendida chronozuki, Shamenza, Ujainza, and Denisi chukure. Just a dinisa, Jeremiche, Dinichu Kablia, ribini and ala kebi, Jar kebi. The
meaning of the panda's hat is that it's not something that is given to anyone to wear. Only those who are exceptionally intelligent, highly learned, and independent on that are both wise and experienced, or knowledgeable and experienced. Such a person is suitable to wear a panda's hat. And here it symbolizes that our Lama has all the same qualities of the great pandits from India, the great Nalanda masters.
That there's a magic to go that 지금 수이나 지고가 브랜드다 니 관식이로와.
Traditionally, only really the great lamas, those who were exceptionally intelligent, wise, and learned and experienced, would have worn a pandit's hat. These days, maybe it's somewhat more commonly worn.
나들마 두걸 캡다 돌제 창왕 시시 천유 대시 인간 쪽에 나데 자율라마 상유군용 오니 세제 데한 데네 두걸 캡다 선데도 나중에 서로다 이나다 된마 다된마스 두걸 캡다 돌제 창왕 시시 천유 구동오 세데 다 두걸 캡다 세데 두걸 세데 다디디 나 데레 제름 대징한도 두스는 제름 사답사로와 다 제르미치기 투가딜이야 안에 덤바상이 점된데 여바지고 투가들이 니 상유 점된디기 디 투가딜이야 안 야와들이 창고 그래 투가를 캡다 들지 창왕.
Starting then with the 11th verse. In your heart sits the all-pervading Lord Vajradhara with a blue body, one face, two arms. So we've already visualized before ourselves our Lama in the aspect of Lama Chöpa. At his heart, it doesn't state it here, but at his heart is Buddha Shakyamuni, and at the heart of Buddha Shakyamuni sits Vajradhara.
두가를 캡다 돌제 창와 시시 찬이 구동어스네 덤바 상제준의 시시 찬이 버여지로와 데네 두가는 여기 덤바 세계 투비 두가리아 캡다 돌제 창세야 되라 시시 찬이 여봐 구도 원보로시 두스는 사다고 그러지.
So here Vajradhara is abiding at the heart of Shakyamuni Buddha, who himself is abiding at the heart of Lama Chöpa. And Vajradhara has one face, two arms, and his body is the color of blue.
ane dorje ji yuan le jibu shi song de ane yum dorje yin ju ma ane kyu de ba ji ge ba shi sam dang wo le ji de.
In the second line of the Tibetan, our second line here, it is further describing the visualization of Vajradhara. So it's Vajradhara who has a blue body, one face, two arms, holding Vajra and bell and embracing his consort, Vajradhatu Ishvari.
dorje dibu dige tabdan sherap chungore tabdan sherap se dorje dige tab chungore ne dibu dige sherap chungore 제가 dorje dige tab chung에서도 tab 장주 셈다 파준주기 냠네 ane 디순고래 파준주 kubene 심바도 주주주버 준데 삼대 바 chungore 다디네 dibu dige sherap chungore 제가 sherap chungore sherap 동바이 도베 sherap chungore 제가디 탑단 셰럽이 천세리다 자주 심기 군에 라비 파신 주기 냠랜드 중고도 대중고로 와 탑단 셰럽 지나다 겨와 도시 창기 교라 네 가제 탑단 셰럽 용수 조배 냠랜 데니기 연된 용수 조배 예대 바디 요래세 다 도시 디부 짐바디기 디중고를 다 넘기는 가서 디중고를 되디.
The Vajra and bell also has specific specific symbolism, and also the posture, the mudra, the posture that it's held in, which Geshe demonstrated, that the two are held crossed at the heart, and in this, the two are held crossed at the heart. So here, the Vajra, then this symbolizes the method practices, and the bell symbolizes the wisdom side. And the two are held together. The two hands are crossed, showing that these two are practiced in union or together. The method side practices that the Vajra symbolizes would be principally bodhicitta and the first 5 perfections, those of generosity, ethical restraint, patience, joyous perseverance, and concentration. And wisdom would be the wisdom realizing emptiness, symbolized by the bell. And these are the practices that the bodhisattva engages in order to become a Buddha. And both are practiced, hence the hand posture or the mudra of union, the two held together.
Tene chanchu sim yukune ngazo kewe chawa kharachebene chanchu sim yukune lang go warchesa dorje ba ya kya ne chanchu sim yukune chanchu sim de samda tene ki dorje de chanchu sim chungyo banza tene ki ya kya ne dambo ne lakwal chuyo de sim jan tamju sa yuko ba to ba che chanchu sim yukune la chanchu sim samda ne jibu ma kya je ngazo chodi kabla tene 동방이 삼단 어숨 땅고 걸 당한테 남기네 지나다 dorje 매바 지구 쩌나 지고 말에 되네 지구 라와메 dorje 부르 지베지다나 베지 지메 가서 나중에 냠는 타라 산지 고원 토발라 람 탑시니 오예 마치바 검제 산지 고원 토마도 네 탑지부 공백에 산지 고원 토요 말에 네네 동이도 배셔럽 지부 공백에 산지고마 토두고마 산지고마 토발라 탑단 시라니가 냠도 송제진의 검데 조고엔자 다디기 도시 지부니 배셔다도 갈로 도시 지부 니가기 배시당 거야디 김찬로 디래.
Lama Chöpa practice is not a tantric practice, and therefore is a practice done by those striving to become Buddhas. So being a practice of the Bodhisattva, then method or bodhicitta and wisdom are both required. If one focuses solely on either of those, Buddhahood cannot be achieved. Both have to be practiced. So here, when you do the practice, or any tantric practice, whenever you use a bell in one hand, you will also be holding the vajra in the other. And similarly, if you pick up the vajra, you'll also have the bell there. And the reason is because the vajra, this represents the method side practice, and when you pick that up, you should immediately remind yourself that this represents, the vajra that you're picking up represents bodhicitta. And you use that as a cue to remind yourself of your objective, to become a Buddha for the sake of others. And every time one picks up the bell, and certainly rings the bell, one reminds oneself, uses this as a cue to remind oneself that this symbolizes the wisdom realizing emptiness. So you remind yourself of that, recall emptiness, having also recalled bodhicitta. And these two are practiced together. They are indivisible in that if only one is practiced, Buddhahood cannot be attained. But the two practiced to the point of perfection will lead to Buddhahood.
Tene le tambo nyamne chidi kabla tambo chine dorji ya ja ten diwu ya ja ten ma sha de kabla diwu de nyele sha ten dorji de ba chele sha nan go de chalen ya ma sha de kabla tambo diwu de sha tene dorji de sha ya ja de kabla tambo dorji de ja ten diwu de ja.
When you utilize the ritual implements of the vajra and bell, one first picks up the vajra with one's right hand, and this symbolizes, and then one immediately recalls bodhicitta, and one thereafter picks up the bell with one's left hand, and immediately recalls the wisdom realizing emptiness. Then, when one places them back down, one does so in the reverse order, first placing down the bell, and second the vajra. So one picks up first the vajra, and thereafter the bell, and when one puts them down, one puts down first the bell, and thereafter the vajra. But importantly, one shouldn't just be picking these up, but recalling their meaning and reminding oneself of bodhicitta and wisdom realizing emptiness.
On those chene doji jibu jidu dus nang challenge dus chi yung gore tang zu le dang yang jing nam yu ne yang me yang je challenge jing le ya kwang zu ge gedi na da dong ban ni da chang ju sim ge nyam le gedi na dus chene nang xin bo yo ba yin sa ne de ne ya doji jibu ya ja le ya dang bo doji ja tin jibu ja dus che mo ga che ang gedi na dus chene nyam du su ja ya de ne ge challenge ya yung gore.
And another way that others practice is not to pick them up in this order, but to pick them up together. So that is the second way that is done. But the key point is that whenever one picks them up, one recalls their meaning, refreshes, regenerates one's motivation. Or one's minds of bodhicitta and wisdom realizing emptiness.
The Jibu said the Dongbani Dobe set up Tsungore, second Tsungore, Labion. Jibu said the Anzuki, do the Jash and Echo Jajungo Marwa, Chesa, Power drawing to call a Jig Dinalba, Jig Chat, Pashandachi, Dapche, Jajungurwa, Chesa Ding Ding Jajunga, Chesa Jajunga di Koran Ranshin Majunwachi, Jig Dapche, Shenchile, Dune, Jajungurwa. The name Zang, Chesa Chök and Hishina, Shenchile, Dune, Jugu, Kala Yamatu, Rangun, Jubati. Yoma Dong Sang Sashi. On this one, in this one, Jazan, Ko Tenjin, Tawa, Shanchil, Dune, Jachunza, Kala Yamat, Gentil, Katina, Shanchil, Dune, Jubore, Sidu, Kala Yamatu, Rangun, Jubati, Dongbari, said the only how to go, let's to
How does the bell symbolize the wisdom realizing emptiness? Well, when one picks it up, it makes no sound. Only with independence on movement of one's hand and the movement of, I forget the metal bits in the middle of a bell, I forget what it's called. The ringer or the clapper. Through its movement, striking the outer of the bell or the dome, sound comes. So this immediately reminds ourselves of we're hearing sound, independence on the clapper, striking the dome, independence on movement of our hand. So here we're immediately reminded of mutual dependency, that sound could only come in dependence on the movement of these specific parts. And therefore, it is a dependent arising. And being a dependent arising, it doesn't exist by way of its own essence, but it's empty of existing by way of its own essence. So here, through seeing the bell, certainly picking it up, and then again hearing the sound, one is reminded of dependence arising and thereby emptiness.
Pada mani chabale tene Puji gorwa midi Puji gigorwa dinashi lam tapda shirab ni ga gombale tene ko ane sanjo ko ba togo ma do tapda shirab ni ga mogomba sanjo ko ba togo ma chida baba da amani ga yobale tene bugu yungor ma baba jik changmene bugu yungor ma dinashi 탑단 실에 니가 초발에 되네 산지고바 토고래 제자 되네 탑신이 춘거래 그래서 되제다 리부에 탑신이 있어요 여비미 탑신이 춘거래 존나 지발에 돼서
So just like the Vajra and bell symbolize method and wisdom, and the two crossed like this symbolizes the union of method and wisdom. The two practices together leads to Buddhahood. Just like that, we have here, so the word we have here as embracing is fine. In other contexts, we used to the word union. So we have embracing, or the union of Vajradhara and his consort, Vajradhatu Isvadi. So they are in union, which also has the same symbolic meaning as the Vajra and the bell being placed together in union. Because just like when parents sleep together, this results in the birth of a child, so too, through the father and the mother, or in this case Vajradhara and Vajradhatuisvadi, being in union. This union of method and wisdom that it symbolizes leads to the arising or the birth, it's the same word, arising or birth of Buddhahood.
Yigi sheba chamo lia, and yigi sheba chamo delia, and the dewa digi yu tomba yu toba, tobu lo di gievas, the nigger tomba yu tobu lolia, rolbe gies, delia rolbas and delia, long jubas or delia, number shade, number shad bechic, gieva le de two gievas or a galana chesura, Chizan, they don't rolbe gies, dewa yigi sheba chamo dewa galana, dewa chiki. Dewa di yu tongpa yu to ne to de dong se de de xin ye de to ye me se de dong se ji ba de de so de dong se de rol ba se de ro ba la de bu se zhe mo ba zhe ma ga wu zhe zhe ba de zhe mo ro ba la ge ro ji na di na xin ta tongpa ni de ne ge de be tongpa ni de bu lo de le nyam ba sha che de ne dewa nyam ba sha ne nyam che ge dewa nyong de ba che la ne de dong rol be ge se wo.
The second line in Tibetan concludes with, we have it in our third line, you delight in the play of simultaneous bliss and void. Bliss and void we had then at the start, but at the top of page, verse 9. So bliss and void or bliss and emptiness. So here we have the subtle consciousness of bliss realizing emptiness. Same meaning then as the first two words at the start of this section of verse 9, which was also bliss and emptiness. So bliss then means this subtle consciousness of bliss that realizes void or emptiness, voidness or emptiness. And the term play we can understand as, just like play is joyful, here it can be understood in terms of meditative, the consciousness of meditative equipoise is joyous and blissful and realizing emptiness. So we can understand the term play as in being joyful, like a child's play is, when a child playing is very joyful. So here, the mind that is a meditative equipoise too is also very joyful. And that is realizing, that subtle consciousness of bliss is realizing emptiness.
Rinpoche rigda denege Rinpoche nama rinche gengi deshi Rinpoche rig genda mara yode gengi denege pa laze se de leyi zeda denege darbe ninji wo ya wo ndele ya genda Rinpoche rig mangbo shu chigi denege yode ba denege naze lup se de lu du chene gonde ba gomba chi se ma jine gomba chöpa naze lup se du chene chöde yore jere.
Then the third line of the Tibetan, third and final line of the Tibetan, concludes our verse. Are adorned with jeweled ornaments of many designs and clothed in garments of heavenly silks. So just to say, in these verses, and others still to come, Genla often says a lot more than I say because it's written in honorific, not the normal spoken language. But we don't have this in English, so there's only one way to talk about clothing or garments. But anyway, so if you hear that he's saying a lot more than me, then that's often the reason.
Dele semba sumje sigore tangbo jerimche sa tap digang la jaw sangye chumne ne sa de di tugalia jawa de chan sa de dele semba sumje komba sigore semba sumje se on de digore semba sumje.
So this how would you say semba? So there's visualization has these three beings stacked one at the heart of the other. So we have Lama Chöpa Rinpoche as the dominant visual form of our Lama. At his heart is Buddha Shakyamuni, and at the heart of Buddha Shakyamuni is Vajradhara.
That in my disorder, Sembe Genden, Uzo, Tombra, Jason, Nangu, Go, Dorje, Gildron, Sulji, Kumbanam, that they shall said that Casar. Sembe Genden, Uzo, Tombra, Jason, Nangu, Go, Us, and Nabadina. It's not that city low, the near Logume.
Coming to for us, the 12th verse. So the Tibetan doesn't have verses. It's always just all the lines together. So but for us, we have verses. So 12th verse, first line. Radiant with thousands of light rays, adorned with the major and minor signs.
That is that social is part the Jeremacheta, the two are the Tembasan Yachum, the two are like Yawatusha, do so come to the nigger that have sum or the sum de Lama Sumbati, the ne Chana Beji Gamba, so Chen Sambo Sumju say that Beji Sambo Kishu said there, the nigger Chana Beji Chasan Gandu by you gain you budget. And then a worse part, worse bad. There was a Dongbora said that don't try, she said, don't do that bed, was a Chapchimu, Jachimu, Shiuji, Barge, Badige. Then Jason Nangu was there, Kadonga, Namkale, Jasha, the Kadomito, Nayor, on Dinashin, Kadonang, Nay, Gorshi, the Ud Gidelia, Dusine, that to shoot the US be Mebachi or Asia. Jidirwadej. The Kwanzu Lasum de Chana, Beje, Sambo, Chasan, Yen, Chasan, Chang de Bache, and the Kwanzu Tawalia with Sergube, with the Kato Rimbanga, just a Nangi Park, or the Wiginaz, the Dushu, the Shudu Bache.
So this now is describing all three deities that we have before us. So Lama Chöpa with Buddha Shakyamuni at his heart, and Vajradhara at his heart. So I'll read the first line again. I didn't read it all, but I'm going to skip what in the Tibetan is the second line, so it fits. Radiant with thousands of light rays, adorned with the major and minor signs, enhaloed by five colors, by a five-colored rainbow. So this then is describing those three deities. From them radiate, from their bodies radiate thousands of light rays, and their bodies of those three deities are adorned with the major and minor signs of Buddhas, and the halo, the aura maybe surrounding them is likened here to a five-colored rainbow.
Now, Ganesh Yores in a Yalang the Shure, Ganesh Yores and the Doji Gildron Shure, as a Doji Gildron Tsuyu Shus. Doji Gildron Tsuyu Shu.
And the second line in the Tibetan starts with, you sit in the Vajra position.
That the that was in it, that he does Lama Sum Disa Dapsarwa, Kajet Dambong to the such as Samta Digalian, Basa machine Samta, Basa Shingan, Shuchi Samta, then Shuchigala Medo Bemada, and the Tanimada Dawa Samta, Digalian, Jerem Shu de Eche, Jerem Chigi, Nigalia, and San Yumden Yores and Shudiba, San Yumden Nigalia, and Gawatusha Shudio Bache. That in it, and the Shuadia Chasa and the Doji Gidun Shu Bache. Doji Gidu Shuba, then Tagolia, and we just Nangi Gorge, we Gidan Shudiba, on Dusin as some died, that is dear.
Thus far, what we've built up in the visualization is we first created this magnificent environment. And here, again, I encourage you, if you do the visualization, to really personalize it. And don't limit yourself. Allow your imagination to run wild. Then on top of that, you have this beautiful wish-granting tree with bedecked maybe with everything that one could possibly desire, and at its crest is a lion throne, on top of which is a vast lotus, sun and moon disk, symbolizing definite emergence, the wisdom realizing emptiness, and bodhicitta. And that lion throne too was held up by lions, symbolizing fearlessness, the fearlessness of realization. And then on top of the lotus, sun and moon disk abides one's lama or lamas in the aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa, who at his heart is Buddha Shakyamuni, and at whose heart is Vajradhara in union with his consort Vajradhati. And he is Vajradhara is holding the Dorje and bell, symbolizing method and wisdom, and they're crossed in union. Arms are crossed in union, symbolizing the union of method and wisdom. And then we see here thus far that's this further visualization in terms of radiating light and having an aura of 5 colors.
Lulia Gulia and the Casore, then love go ahead, like do so serious about sometimes. The Lugil, that Lugil said, the Lugil Kumbarucha, Lugil to Chagor in Denmark. That day the Karasang was in it. The Niki shoot about the layer, Pumbon Namda, Tishenga, said Pumbonga, the Sugi Pumbo, Toy Pumbo to ship or the number ship Pumbonga Yorwa, the Pumbonga, the Tishipenga. Ngares decision chepanga zihore she decision chepanga the chepanga said san namba na said we ba me said migyo ba said and the rinjun said doing ba on ding up the and delia lucine pumbonga di ngodi tang manjugi pumbonga imbal ngodi that the langa di res do something gore she.
Now our 12th verse then goes on to present what is similar to a body mandala. So we have the body mandala, starts off with, for us, in our 3rd line. Your pure skandhas or aggregates are the 5 sugatas. So these, so one understands that the aggregates are in the essence, the aggregates of one's lama are in essence the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, or the 5 wisdom Buddhas, namely Vairochana, Akshobhya, Amitabha, Ratna Sambhava, and Amoga Siddhi.
This is not that some data the Kawa Yore said the Skamtang or Sende Denegi, Chiwon Ma, the Trasam Yipardelia, number Nazo Yoba Samtang or Dene, the Trasam Dinema, Dibardo, and then Webame Yoba Samtang or Denema, Denma Ningan Ma, Tewa Bardo, Tewa Tabardo, and Kasore Mikyoba Yoba Samtang or that on board that was Malam Nadig to that Malam Nadig. It's just a Denma Chiwon Ma, Trasam Yipardo, Namna, San number Nazis Yoba Samtang or
So again, I will go through this one at a time because I don't know it. So if you're wanting to know where each one would be understood to be, so from the crown of Lama Tsongkhapa's head to his forehead, this is Vairochana.
Di Trasam Dinema, Jedus, Badu, Di Timbabado, and the Webame was some Tangorech. The Kado Malam Nadigortan would do some done.
And then Genla showed from his forehead down to his throat, then that is in essence Amitabha.
Number Naze Kabore, Obame Mabore, Yadu that did Migyo by the Ngomborwa. That in Ma, then Ningane Ma, Jimbane, Ningi Bardo, the Obame said, then Ningane Devi Bardo, and the Migyo was some Tangores. The Bado and Jimba Bado did Obameda, the Jimba Ninga Bado did Casa Mikyo Barwa, Mikyo Shesa, Shiro, and Mikyo Bayoba some Tangores. Ninga Bado. Jimba Ninga Bado, Ninga Bado, the Mikyo Bayoba some Tangores.
And then from the throat to the heart is in essence Akshobhya.
That's it. That Ninga ninga ne te bardo de ane je rinjung se.
And from the heart to the navel is in essence Ratna Sambhava.
Ne tewa ne mene sangne bardo ane duen juba yoba samdang oresi.
Then from the navel to the secret place is in essence Amoga Siddhi.
Ando sene de dire phumba namda deshe nga se de josere. Da kam shi se jore kam shi saham chugam megam lungam se de nga zugida lamigu yugulia kam shi se de da nga zugila kam shi yor this lamigu ku de kam shi de number da je ne yum shi se de yum shi mo yore se de dusen samdang bole je.
So then the third line in Tibetan for us is the end of our third line. I think we have 5 elements. It should be 4 elements. Your 4 elements, the 4 consorts. So the 4 elements are seen that comprise the body, that of earth, fire, water, and wind energy. All earth, fire, water.
Sa chu me lung.
Lung, yes, those 4. Earth, fire, water, and wind energy. These are, in essence, the 4 consorts.
Da Geshe Thubten Rabten Jianshu Sanpangwe said, Geshe Thubten Migi Geshe Nema, Nawe Geshe, Nei Geshe Ti, Lu Yi Geshe Geshe Drukje. Dene and the Subanala Zadang and the Sik Mongorwa, the Chaza Karasam Jianshu Sanpangwe, and the Mabachakumore.
Then it continues for consorts, your sense spheres. So those are the 6 sense sources of the sense powers. So ear, nose, etc. So those 6, your 6 spheres, as well as the channels or energy channels, sinews and joints. These are all actually bodhisattvas.
Da babu drachum niti chikdong se la re. Chezang babu se de subu le yang babu dige ane lame gi de kuyu gi subu gi babu dige chazang da nga zu ne babu cha de ro ba da lame gi kuyu gi de ne gi dige chazang chashin drachum ba niti chikdong se ne chini da dong ra ji ge ba de du shen de sam dang wo le se.
So on our body we have hair pores, or let's read it first. So the hairs of your pores are 21,000 arhats. So on our body we have hair pores. So they're for our Lama in the aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa, doesn't have hair pores, but rather those are in the essence of 21,000 arhats of the Mahayana.
Dine yanla chue wongpo ni se de yanla de ye ane shab dang cha dang de sui ra jizan cho mo res.
Your limbs are in essence the wrathful protectors.
Sare. Dine wezhe cho kyo nujin sangwa jidin bana shebki den se de dine kuyu ge babu dine ma deshi dine wezhe ba su kule wezhe chugurwa wezhe chasang wezhe digilya ane de nujin kaso cho kyo se wezhe cho kyo shi se da nujin se da odus jine ane sangwa se la so dine me kaso de wezhe cho kyo nujin se de wezhe gi ba nujin da ane cho kyo da nujin digi yoba jik yoba samdang gore jine.
And then it continues. Where were we? The light rays, directional guardians, lords of wealth, and their attendants.
Da sangwa jikdin bana shebki den se de da jisa da na lei zhe ge la ne nu ji o wang chu la so pa de ne ge la tu wo chi de ge ane de ne ma ane di wo ji shebki de li zu yo ba de su ya du sin yo ba sam dang wo le she.
And it concludes, it's just a little bit in the English that's excluded. While in secret, all worldly gods are cushions for your feet.
Da di lamigi lulia la din yor se lamigi da lugi chashi desu dis la din re se di odu chene sam da kom ya di da Lami Lulia. Chisada, Lami Lu Senade, Lami Kingwars, Kingwars in a Chazanda, Lingo Chatter, Chazal, Dusene, some tango, Esirwa.
This then is, we went through quite quickly the body mandala of one's Lama, but one in an aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa. And the purpose of this is to recognize that he is in essence all the Buddhas. So here we do it through recognizing his body is in essence all these beings that we visualize or we imagine, and the meaning is that in essence he is all the Buddhas.
나딘마 디시가 저기 야 슈르가라 메도 베마시오르와 델야 베마델 림발 마소네 림부 쭉지 쓰여서 그래 림부 쭉지 다 ጼጼ델야 다 제르미 슈디오르와 나다데 지온 지단데 디슈스델 림부 쭉지 요레세 제산 베메기 ጼጼ델 ጼጼ델다 데데 제르미 슈디오르와 신동아 강딜에 메도 베마쇼라 메도 베마게 강딜에 아니 다와다 님에 된지 요르와 제름 슈디요르와 지산 데니마 메도 베마게 담마로 가세 요르세 쭉쭉 요르세 림발 마스나 쭉쭉 요르세 그래.
So at the outset, or earlier in the class, it was mentioned that on top of the lion throne there is a lotus and a red sun disk and a white moon disk. And that lotus, what wasn't said, that lotus actually has 21 levels. Chuchik. Oh, 12 levels. Sorry. The other way around. 11 levels. 11. My counting is not so good. 11 levels.
That the Tzedele Jerem's that the Jeremich to go to Basangum D to go down, Javadoja D, Kichu, on the devices that the Shibado Shesare. That Denema and that sourcing a Hashanadi part some that Shuerwa.
So on the image before you, so in the iconography, it seems as if it's presented below, but it's really to be understood as these are different layers of or levels, 11 levels of the lotus. What has been described thus far is, or most recently rather, is the visualization around the main figure, our teacher in the aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa, with Buddha Shakyamuni and Vajradhara at his heart. So that's what has been presented is the main part of the visualization, and now we'll come in brief to these other levels of the lotus. Coming now to verse 13. Surrounding you in their respective order sit the direct and lineage gurus, yidams, host of mandala deities, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, heroes, and dakinis encircled by an ocean of dharma protectors.
Sangye Jasan Pawa Karo, Chökyi Sungma, Hazotiki Shazandusin, your Esaji, Sungdua.
We'll look at this very briefly. It says here, surrounding you. You refers to one's Lama in aspect of Geshe Rinpoche before you. And then, so we're saying you, but it's referring to the visualization before oneself, and it's referring specifically to Lama Tsongkhapa. And before him in the respective orders sit firstly one's direct and lineage lamas, so one's direct teachers, as well as lineage lamas. Oh, and sorry, and one's gurus and yidams.
Lama Chöpa Chazadi Shudi. the Tugane was a ya gang to gore, Yakodu ya gang ya tree, the gang trade was a and rang cubic lamatike, Yamin Jilab cubis, Lama, or Lamatiki should do so. Yawatoricha ganga, the Yawatoricha. The Jidele Yawatoricha, the Yini de Yawatoricha, then March and Lama Cubati Chazadus and the should do so. Jubil Lamasi, Casa, Yamin Jilab Julamasi or Yamin Jilab Julamasi.
From Lama Tsongkhapa's heart radiate light rays, and then, so what we have here in the image, what to us looks like is going behind and above. So these then refer to the lineage of lamas who have as their head of the lineage Vajradhara, and this is called the practice lineage. So these will be various lineage lamas of the practice lineage with Vajradhara at their crown, at their head.
Now, we say, each of our tree. The issue of Puja, Zedelia, and the Jawa Chambache, and the Jawa Chambegi, and Denma, Tawalma, and the Papa Tomeda, and Dusla Sobat, Teso and Garsori, Samo Gasori, Geshe Thubten Lama, Geshe Semda. Desugi and the Jamni Janju Semlas Geshe Thubten Lama Yamlegi Lama Tikashu do you by Mabachi Oreja. My maiden and Jerim Jig that mother Koron Echons from Mother Mother Jerim Koron Tuga and Part Church and Kawatu Echon Part.
Light rays also emanate in either direction from Geshe Rinpoche's heart, and to his right, to the right of Geshe Rinpoche, light rays emanate, and here we would see the vast lineage. So this is now onto his right, so it's the vast lineage, and with Maitreya at the head.
Na Jeremy Tugane was a Yunchol, Jeremy Korongo, Yunchol Martrede, that Zedelia and Chisun Chambea Pache, D and Taholia and Kumbulu Tang, and the Chick, Aria de Walla Sopas, Tawiki, Tombani Tag, Namshatting, Tawiki, Lineage, Chasandiga, Dushin, you arrest me by Chiorage.
So to the left of Geshe Rinpoche is the vast lineage with Maitreya and Atisha and Asanga, and to the light rays also go to the right of the central figure of Lama Tsongkhapa, and this then is the lineage of the view, and this has Manjushri at the head, and the lamas such as Nagarjuna, Aryadeva, Shantideva, and so forth.
On the net, then Dungilia, and the metal was a trade delia, and Dundilia, Muyu Lama, Muyu Lama said, Sosorangi, that children was to be Soso Lama, Lamatiki, or US member. Muyu Lama. Most was an answer to children also to be Lama. Gibe Lamas and Lama Lama taking out the children also, and Lama Lama taking out the Gibe Lama Chagore. Chesa, Sosu Musu church to be Lama down. Dig Lame Lama, Chesan Gibe Lamas, or Dishasan and USB. Before
the central figure, Lama Tsongkhapa, on the top level of the lotus, we have here direct and lineage gurus. So the direct gurus will refer to one's own lamas, and the lineage lamas will be their teachers, but this will go back as an entire lineage.
Then the Yundelia and Sawadubata and Dorje Chicheta and the Kasore and Desho Kolola Sobata and the Duyu Kolo Idam de Gipasa de Gudua.
And yidams would include those such as Gyosamaja, Yamantaka, Haruka, and so forth.
The Tower Idam you are Haso dance. 다디 이담 세야될 다야 이담 될라 디용구량 저기 라미 규기 이담 당보 다 당보 될라 우기 라미 와될 담될 라미 규기 라마티시 디오 될라 이담 되게 주규기 이담 되게 되네 안에 그래서 저기 주규 그래서 나주 라미 규기 이담제 되네 나주 규기 이담제 되네 주규 이담제 되네 제규기 이담제 된마 도시를 바신도 된마 도시는 사다 고래제 된마 림바도와.
So first, in terms of these levels of the lotus, one has one's direct and lineage lamas. Below them are yidams and host of mandala deities, and then these are over several levels, with those of highest yoga tantra highest, and below them those of yoga tantra and performance and action tantra.
나 되는 마 안디 월을 가르삼는 상계 주비고 상계 빠도메 봐 상계 되겠다 그러지 상계시.
Then the next level down, so because we had our direct and lineage lamas, then several levels relating to yidams and mandala deities, and then the next level would be those of Buddhas.
나 되는 장슈sem바와 상계 장슈sem바.
And thereafter, because it's the same order as we have in our text, bodhisattvas.
Then power cardro, the power city, naju power city, naju mata, the nickel, because najuma said, Idem the Marada, the power the pomiki says, Yoruba the power pomo, and then a cardro, then digalia and the wall, chugyo, densung, densung, yes, or you said, chugyo, so much you about to do sinishu.
Below the bodhisattvas is the level of heroes and dakinis, or dakas and dakinis, and then below them is encircled by an ocean of dharma protectors.
Those two ma that Gingogel has what Chasan pass at Upcharge, Nasata Savare, that Gigol has what they did and dealing on to get Soshin said Chopa, you that's Soshin the Padus in the Sat Savare.
So that then concludes the visualization of the merit field, the field of deities to whom one will make offering and accumulate merit.
That didn't mark Jerian dene ma that's washing girl had to get my sat up sourdy. Down to him, Dainma, young Yeshipa said, Hi Yeshipa the Jan Jang, that is washing a Hakon to the sat up ship, Hakon, really of Sosoran, Yeshipa, Timiaki, Mabachia. Yeshipa said the Jan, Yeshipa, Jan Jang, and Hakon, the Jing on the washing started with Hamakujo, really a Timiaki, Mabachia. My Denny Shu, Ya Yeshipa said, my Denny Shu, then they just said that you had Timia, Janju Sembige. Sangi Kaza, Idam Yeshipa, the Idam Latin, and the Sangi Yeshipa, the Sangi Martin, Pacado by that it power country Chuyosuma Rilma, Timia sometime.
Now we are approaching the invocation where one invokes or invites the actual deity. So they're called the wisdom beings, because right now all we have before us is an expansive visualization. So now one will request or invite or invoke the actual beings to come and dissolve into each and every visualized being before one or imagined being before one.
This one, Dorje Sumzang, who you will say, Jagui, Ranshin in a Shepana, Gender in me, temper, Guru says.
That's the 14th verse. Their three doors are marked with the three vajras. From the syllable hum, hooked light rays go out, invoking the wisdom beings from their natural abode to become inseparably set.
Deda Kusum Dorje Sumzang, who you say, Jagui, City, Dedagi, and Kusum, two Sumi Koranzuki, Kaso, Kosum Nene, Hungji, Kusum Dorje Sumse, Dorje, Delia Hungi, Hungi, Temper eating and Dorje, then the Hung Dele Power says true, öse de pa jagyu na shin chi dus ku ko wa chi den ya ma ten gu de ku go ro de jagyu me na ku de ne jagyu na sam da je du shin en jagyu yi sen du sam dang wo le de da ko sum de so and I like the di.
So our English is very clear. Maybe the one thing I need to say is there refers to all the deities visualized before one. So there's every class before one. So we have all the yidams and deities before one. There, it's there. 3 doors are marked with the 3 vajras. From the syllable hum, hooked light rays go out, invoking the wisdom beings.
Sesada di kawan ma deni yu se ranshin yin ne ranshin yin sa ne ranshin yin sa de ma deni shu wo sa ranshin yin sa de yishe ba kawa shu de ranshin yin sa de sha de shu de yore je sesada ranshin yin ne shu de ba sa de ma cha gyu de ba du shin ma ne deni shu wo re je ranshin yin ne yishe ba nam yishe ba de ki ba chu jian zhang ne de ne ya de tempo che di na le di de so so na ku del ma tim che tempo che shu so wa se be ma ba che wo re je le tempo gyu ru se Deda la na chasang che omar de sangi de ida de jing de jo je rim che da ane di de la de ba sang ye chum de di tu ga ya ane de ja wa de cha sa dab che yo ba de da yu tu ga ne we che na di go re idem zene de che na di go re ke yo ma di ga ne ko ka je su su ge tu ga ya de ji ji yo ba sam da di tu ga
Just to expand a little bit on our first word, there, or the Tibetan liturgy is those. So we can, it's suitable just to think in terms of the wisdom beings relating to Lama Tsongkhapa, Buddha Shakyamuni, and Vajradhara. But if one were also to include the Buddhas and the other Buddhas and Yidams and so forth, that would be fine. And then, just to conclude the verse then, from the natural abode, so from the syllable hum, hooked light rays go out, invoking the wisdom beings from their natural abode to become inseparably set. So that's quite clear. Inseparably set, we can say as being indivisible as well as stable. So maybe instead of inseparably set, it could be translated as steadfast, or to become steadfast, or to become stable or inseparable.
Alright, that didn't get Chandra, we get 60 dead, and then Mawan and Jama Shuashe, that didn't de Ashe, Danganzu de Diring down to Karazane, Delia, and Soshingi, Nesatavia de Dushine Sacheta, and Shucheta, the Negi, Soshin Satap, Dusha Satap, Tadianzu Dushin Jevare, Sandinigi, that Dushin. Tambong the Sigma doing relation, some dangy danger, gilligan, Madonna the Ted, Namsa, Digmarvada, the Negi, some dangy danger, the thing, Jelia, Yan, just go out some Corturua, so that the Negi, Satapche, Gombai, Ina, Narazulia, so. Dulia, the nigger Chojin and Sad, Susu Chopa, Chopa, the Delia, Chopa, Della, and Chojin, Lama Idam Sanges and Power Contra Chuyo, so much Chazan, Yasa, Chazan the Puga, and Unoya, Janjusem, you could assemble Tamjigu Dandalia, and Della Pusa Udelia, Sanye Janjus and Bada, and Chazan Yoba Puga, and Chopa must get him with you, Sagu, so I'm getting Sagu or Edge. The names. The dudes in the start of Gombaina, Mahombana, Sosugi, Sangi, Goban Tobdugi, the nigger Sajata Shinda, the niggy, Dubiagi, Sonam Sagore, Sosugi, Shin Jongi, Sonam Sad, or do Shagore, the
Just before I present what Genla said, so this what we have here at the end of verse 14, inseparably set, it has these 2 words, one being steadfast or inseparable, but it also has a second word of being stable, which I think is what is meant by set. So just to imagine that the purpose of inviting the wisdom beings is so they dissolve into the visualization, and they become inseparably set or stable and steadfast in that the actual deity, the actual beings are there before one. Then to summarize what we've looked at tonight, we've concluded the visualization. So this is, if you want to do the visualization, it would be, it's not going to just magically appear. One would need to progressively, sequentially over time, visualize it step by step. And if one trains one's mind in the visualization, developing it in a sequence, then eventually it will come more quickly, more easily, and eventually it will come readily before one. One will just recall it, and the visualization will appear. And this would come about independent on repeated training over a sustained period. And the purpose of this visualization is so that one can make offerings and accumulate vast stores of merit. And to accumulate vast stores of merit, it's imperative that one's motivation that one generated in the preliminaries, preliminary practice at the beginning of the meditation, that of bodhicitta and the wisdom realizing emptiness, that these are maintained during the visualization, in particular later when one comes to make offerings. Because it's independence on such a motivation of bodhicitta as well as having an awareness of emptiness, then incredible amounts of merit are accumulated, in particular offering to such array of holy beings before one. And moreover, through having, maybe you could say visualization, or at least an aspiration or an awareness rather, an awareness of these beings before one, one is creating merit specifically to achieve a rebirth in such a realm. And so merit such as this then is of utmost importance. So thank you. We'll conclude there for tonight and continue from this verse 15 next time. So thank you very much.